As surely as we know that there's unity and diversity, we also know that there are many tools and many trenches of struggle in the people's resistance throughout this planet. One of the most important tools that we have is culture as resistance. And often, that cultural resistance requires and demands that we recognize our indigenous peoples. Because we will not allow that their history and memory be erased from the collective memory of humanity. Our next speaker is Roberto Múkaro Borrero, and he is one of those fighters. Roberto Múkaro is the president of the United Confederation of Taino people, an activist and longtime supporter for the call for freedom for Leonard Peltier. He's also former host of BAI's Circle of Red Nations and is currently the chairperson of the non-governmental organization, NGO Committee, on the United Nations International Decade of the World's Indigenous Peoples. Long live the world's indigenous peoples, Roberto Múkaro Borrero. I just wanted to greet you in my own native language, my own Taino language, because although we're communicating in this common language, English, o si podemos hablar también en español, those languages are not our own. They're part of the colonial history of this hemisphere. So it's always good for us to remember that our peoples come from someplace, and we came with something, and language and culture is part of it. So I feel very honored to be here. The United Confederation of Taino people is very proud to lend its name, supporting today's event and trying to advertise and get the word out. We've been doing this for a while. For Leonard, we haven't forgotten, and I think that's the most important thing here, is that we don't forget, right? Is that we go from this place, each one of us has a responsibility, right? Just as we have a responsibility for the earth and to take care of our own selves and our lives and our families, but we also have a responsibility to spread the message that you're hearing here today, to spread those songs, all that feeling that comes with it, to let everybody know, as Martin Luther King said, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And I think that sums up what's happening here with Leonard Peltier. It's a grave injustice that's ongoing, and that we need to educate. I like that idea about education. And hopefully that's what we're doing today, not just educating those who know about it, but that those who know about it continue to have the strength to keep moving forward. Because I know sometimes these struggles are hard, but you can imagine how hard it is for Leonard, and then you can get that extra energy to continue, because at least we're outside, right? Although this is turning into inside, even outside these days. But for that, I just want to say that it's very apropos on this time period, around February, beginning of February, that we have a gathering like this, because right in the beginning, 500 years ago, when colonizers were first coming over to this hemisphere, they encountered Taino people in the Caribbean islands. There was a lot of freedom fighters, and we remember some of the names of our great cacique, or chiefs, Agüevana, Hatue, in particular, Anacaona. It was on February 2nd, in the early 1500s, that Hatue was waging freedom, fighting in the islands, and he went from the island of Quisqueya, which is known as the Dominican Republic in Haiti today, over to the island of Cuba. And he went to go fight Spaniards there, and at some point he was captured by the Spaniards, and they were going to burn him at the cross, right on a stake, and remind people that they were burning Tainos at that time, 13 at a time. 12 to represent the apostles, and 1 to represent the Lord and Savior. This was the Christianity that our people were getting right in the beginning of contact. So when they were about to burn Hatwe at the stake, the Christian priest comes over and says, you know, do you want to be baptized? So that, and Hatwe was like, well, what does that mean, being baptized? He goes, well, when we baptize you, that means that your soul will be able to go to heaven. And so Hatwe looked at him as he was tied to the stake, and he says, so where did this, is that where the Spaniards go, to this heaven? And he says, yeah, well, yes, of course, all the Spaniards who are baptized go to heaven. And he goes, well, then let me burn. I'd rather go to hell. I'd rather not be where they are, where people who are so horrible can be. So that happened on February 2nd, 1512. So it's really apropos that we're still talking about freedom today, and that this is ongoing here in this hemisphere, this oppression and this horrific battle to wipe out. And make no mistake about it, it's about wiping out indigenous peoples. It's about wiping out traditional knowledge. That's why they're pushing genetically modified foods on you without letting you know what's genetically modified. That's why our people in the barrios and in the neighborhoods and in the reservations have to eat preservatives and all kinds of things in their foods when our grandparents used to be able to grow food. What's happening now, organic foods is like the new in thing. And if you have money, you can get organic foods, right? But our people who originally grew the organic foods and who continue to grow the foods for them can't even afford the foods that they're getting. We have to see the linkages in all these things. The imprisonment and long-standing imprisonment of Leonard Peltier, genetically modified foods, the assault on the environment, it's all connected. And I think that's the important message that we're going to take here today. So brothers and sisters, I don't want to go on too much longer. I just want to take a moment to sound this guamo, or this conch shell horn. This was like our cell phone before the arrival of technology, so to speak. We were able to communicate with these things over long distances with our people. And I just want to make one sounding of this guamo for all the freedom fighters of long ago, of today, for all the mothers who are also freedom fighters, right? And for the women. And this is where the base of our culture begins, because although the Spaniards came in with patriarchy, we are indigenous people connected to the energy of the woman first, and as woman as creator. And that was our creator, that's why we say Mother Earth. So let's remember that today when I sound this, and I'll end there. Thank you, relatives. Thank you, relatives.